Hey guys, usually I don't do videos, but I was encouraged to do this by my therapist because you can't go through what I'm going through and not need a therapist. Basically, when I sat down and I started telling him my story from day one to like now, he was basically in awe of how many times the ball was dropped. Um, he wanted me to put my platform out there to see if there is any help that I can get as far as medical, legal, and whatever else, So I really would like if any of my Facebook friends know of anybody in the medical and legal fields that can help, please share the story because it is a difficult one and I'm living it, and it's been very, very difficult. So I was struggling on when to start this because I thought, okay, well, my hair's not done. I haven't been out to get any of the usual beauty maintenance and whatever I usually do because I am so far disabled to the point where I just don't know how I can get out the house with my wheelchair. How can I go into the nail shop and get my feet done with the wheelchair? Because it was easier when I was on the crutches, but everything, life in a wheelchair has been difficult. So if y'all want to take this journey with me, we got 4 years of documentation, research, doctor's notes, and everything to go through. So we can start this journey with day freaking 1. So I'm a surgical technologist and I worked on labor and delivery at, I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say names or whatever. Well, I guess I'll just say a big hospital because I'm not trying to get sued because on disability you have no money anyway. So I'm going to just leave the hospital name out of it. So one night I worked night shift, 12-hour shifts, and I remember coming from doing a case in the OR. I had to clean the OR. And then we have our LDRs, our labor and delivery rooms, that we have to go clean and stock once a patient leaves that room. And so after I finished doing my duties in the OR, I went on my side of the hallway. It's split each night between 2 techs, and one tech take one side of the hallway and the other tech the other. So once I come out the OR, a couple patients have left. I went to stock the rooms and what have you. When I finished that, there was a delivery. After that delivery, I went and sat down. Next thing you know, a lady comes through triage and she's ready to go. And they chose a room on my side of the hallway that was ready to go. And I was like, okay, I have a clean table set up in a room I just finished stocking. Let me go get that and I'll bring it to the room. So I went down, not running, I'm walking. I went down to the room, walked in the room just fine, and on the way out of the labor room with the table, there was a slippery spot. And let me paint the picture for you, because environmental services, they go around and they buff the floors to make them shiny, because they're not really hardwood floors. I don't even know what kind of material it is, but it's different from the main OR, because the main OR just have tile floors, but the labor floor has this wood types, not really real wood type substance on the floor, but they shine, polish, buff, and whatever throughout the weeks or whatever to make it shiny and make it look good. So dude was on the little driving thing buffing the floors earlier in the shift. So once he finished, I'm going into the room, walk in the room just fine. I come out the room and there's this slippery spot, which you can't tell by looking at it that it's slippery because the whole floor is shiny. So once I come out the room, I'm turning to bring the table up towards the room that the delivery is about to take place, and my left foot slips back and down I go right on the left knee, on my left kneecap, down to the floor. Now I'm 230 some pounds, so all that weight, like bam, just down on that one knee. I hit the floor and I grabbed my kneecap, and as I grabbed, like the slip force, it was taking me like out this way. So it's like bam, I flatten out and I roll into the wall and come to a stop. And a delivery I had earlier in a room on my side of the hallway, the dad was outside and he's like seeing everything, and he's like, oh damn. Like, yeah, you just really, but like, it's not even funny. Yeah, you just bust your ass. The delivery table rolls into the wall. Nurses come around the corner because everybody heard it, and the nurse come get the delivery table, take it into the room. The dad who saw me fall is the one who helped me up, and one of my co-workers came around the corner with a wheelchair for me because I was limping pretty bad after that. So I should take a moment to say, while working on labor delivery, you're dealing with bodily fluids coming out, amniotic fluids, pee, throw up, everything's come out, every orifice. And so we wear shoe covers. Now, while inside the department, you are allowed to wear your shoe covers. When you go outside your department, you have to discard those shoe covers, because that's like tracking stuff from your department into the throughout the whole hospital. So that's not what you're supposed to do. Main OR has the same rules and regulations. So I had on the little footy shoe covers, because after 11 years of being a surgical tech and working night shift, which you're more prone to have more stat and urgent situations on night shift, you have to be ready to go. And the process that you learn is that you keep on the little footy shoe covers. That way, when you have a stat situation, you won't be struggling trying to get the OR surgical boot over your shoes. Because I've had plenty of times where I had a stat situation and I have regular shoes on, and I go put the boot on and the boot won't fit over my shoe as as I would like it to go, and end up busting through the boot, and you have to go into, you don't have time to like really fix it because it's urgent. It's that situation. You don't have time to really fix the boot. You go into the OR, get everything on the table and on your meal stand so you can be ready to cut when you're supposed to cut. So there have been plenty of times where I've had to not focus on the boot and just go and open, and then I have blood and stuff on my shoes. Don't want to do that. Had to throw away shoes several times. So the best thing is to keep those little footies on so you will be ready. And when you're in a labor and delivery room doing a delivery, you're already ready to go into those situations, and you're covered without having to continually mess up your shoes. So no, I wasn't in the wrong for wearing the shoe covers to protect my foot because I was performing my duties. So I say that because after the incident, I have to document exactly what happens, and then I have to be transported to the emergency room. And what I'm trying to find here is, let's see if I can find it. Right here. I guess evidence 1, my, I'm glad you can't really see it, my incident report that I had to fill out, and I had to put names down, charge nurses' names down and everything, and then get taken to the emergency room to get checked out. So upon doing that, you have to write out an explanation of what happened and how you can best to avoid the situation as possible in the future. So one of those questions means what measures have been or will be taken to prevent a similar incident from happening again. And I'm like asking my charge nurse, I'm like, what do you want me to put down? Because I'm like, I had everything on that I'm supposed to have on to work on this unit. And she was like, I don't know, maybe remove the shoe covers next time. So that's what I wrote. And then after going through what I've been going through, and I go back to the documentation, I look at it, and when I wrote that, I'm like, that kind of makes me seem like I was in the wrong, which I wasn't. I was performing my duties. So now that that's said, that's how everything got started. Went to the ER, gets checked out, aching and pain. They come back with a contusion to the knee as the diagnosis. So I was like, okay. So after that happens, they put me on, what is it, not leave, but bed rest for a few days until, the pain stops and you're able to perform your duties as you're supposed to. So, have my report here. Oh, sorry. I have my report here from the ED explaining the diagnosis and everything and what a contusion to the knee is. And in that, a contusion to the knee can possibly weaken if you go back to work too early. And if it weakens, then you have a potential to more complications after that, which is basically what started to happen. I had all of I think I had 3 or 4 days off, and then I went to workers' comp and was released to go back to work. Okay, I thought nothing of it. I thought I was fine. And so I went back to work. That incident happened on 9/11 of 2015. And I worked night shift 7 p. to 7 a.m. So that's pretty much how all this got started. After I was released back to work, thought everything was going to be fine. Went back for a few weeks. But I did started to notice that after working for a while, my leg would become a little more tired, I would explain, than usual. But, I'm in school because, I felt as being a surgical tech and being on labor and delivery, I pretty much reached the ceiling as far as I can go in that career, and I was ready for more responsibility. So in 2014, I went back to school to start on my prerequisites for nursing. So I was in school, I was working, I have 2 kids, household, married, everything. And when that first symptom of my leg, being more tired than usual, I didn't think too much of it. I was just like, just need to rest. Because with rest, everything got better. So I was like, okay. But I say, this is September, October came around, and I started noticing that why can't I lift my left leg up as high as I can lift my right leg up, sitting down, bending at the knee. I couldn't lift my left leg, would go like this and it wouldn't go any higher. And I'm like, what's wrong? And I asked my coworker, I was like, look at this. But, being in school, whatever, you like, you know what, I'll get it checked out later because, you got kids, you're trying to do everything, trying to make sure your work is done and in on time to get the grades that you need to get into nursing school, because everything is competitive. And, my bad for like brushing it off. Since everything feel better with rest, it'll get better. So October, then November comes around, and it was close to finals time and everything, and I say November 30th, 2015, or was it the 31st? It's November 30th or 31st, whichever Monday that was. Not Monday. Yeah, it was a Monday because I had anatomy in my A&P class. So I worked 3 straight days through the weekend. I worked Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night, getting off Monday morning. Got off work, feeling fine. Since my legs started bothering me, I had got a rolling backpack to ease some of, that tension on my knee. Wearing knee braces and stuff, to help out with that. And rolling down the hallway, I decided to go see my professor before class, but she wasn't in her office. So I was like, okay, well, let me just go ahead to class. And I turned the corner, and I'm walking down the hallway, And all of a sudden, I hear and I feel a pop, a loud pop in my left knee. And I stopped dead in my tracks, and I was holding on to the wall. And, I'm getting emotional now because it's like, that's the day that changed my life. I'm holding on to the wall mid-stride, and I freeze, and I'm like, what the heck just popped? And next thing I feel, it started in the center of my kneecap, and start feeling like like, you know how you tear paper? That's how the feeling started out. It had the feeling of tearing paper, and say, this is my kneecap. It was the center of my kneecap, and it started going this way. And I feel tear, 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 tear. I'm like, and I'm holding on to the wall. I'm like, something's tearing. Something's tearing. And then big strands start to tear, and it feels like rubber bands, like popping, like snapping loose. I feel snap, 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 snap. And then it got to the end, and it started tearing away slowly, and then it just snapped, and my knee area went from like being feeling like well put together, it relaxed apart. And I'm like standing there, I'm about to hyperventilate and everything, because I'm like, something just ripped. It ripped. I don't know what it was. It ripped, and this burning, horrific pain came to my knee, and I couldn't move. I couldn't walk forward. And one of my classmates, I didn't know that was behind me because I couldn't turn, and she saw everything. She was like, do you need help? And I'm like, I can't move. She was like, it's okay, hold on to me, I'll help you to class. So she helps me limp to class, and another student went down to the cafeteria area and got me a bag of ice. And I guess God was with me that day, because I sat through class and I made it through class, but I was in so much pain. And then I'm like, how am I going to get out to my car? I can't move. So my classmates, they helped me out of the building, and one of the classmates drove her car up onto the grass, and they helped put me in the truck, and she drove me to my car and helped me get in my car. And I was able to drive home because I could still drive with my right foot. Once I got home, I'm like, how am I going to get out the car? I get out the car. I can't move, really. So I hopped on one leg from the car to the inside of the house, which, even though my right leg was fine, it still was like a vibration sending to my left leg, and I was in such excruciating pain. I don't even know how I got through that. So once I made it inside to the bed, I just stayed there. I refused to drink any water because it hurt to get up, it hurt to move. And I'm like, something bad happened. I did not go to the emergency room because I'm thinking money. I didn't want to have to pay the copay. So the next day, I called my doctor because the previous year I had a meniscus tear. And I was thinking, okay, maybe this is connected to my issues from before with the meniscus tear. So I called the doctor up who did that, and he gave me an emergency appointment to come in Thank God I still had my crutches. So that was a big help to help me get back into the car, and then help me get into his office. And he was like, he pulled out all the stops. He was like, you heard a pop. You felt the tearing sensation. Okay, I need stat MRI, stat x-rays. I'm putting you off of work. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Just bear with us. Okay, I'm like feeling reassured. Okay, they're going to find what's going on. They're going to find out what's going on. Get the results back from the MRI. He said the MRI didn't show any tearing or anything, that I was fine. And I'm like, I'm not fine. I'm hurting. I can't lift my leg. I'm like, are you sure? Like, I felt it. I felt that tearing sensation. Like something's wrong. I felt it. And he's like, I'm not saying that you didn't feel it, but I mean, what else you want me to say? It showing nothing has come up. So he was like, send you to physical therapy. And he put me back to work. And I'm like, how can I work and I still can't walk? So went to physical therapy. Thought, okay, well, guess this is the next best thing. Get on the physical therapist table. And she's like, Miss Morgan, can you lift your leg like this? I couldn't lift it. She was like, well, let's try some quad sets. And that's when you contract your quad muscle down, like it's pushing the back of your knee area down toward the floor to contract your kneecap up. And I couldn't do that. And she asked me to do some other things, and I couldn't do that. I could barely move my leg. And she was like, Miss Morgan, what does your doctor want me to do? Because if you're in this much pain and can't move your leg, then I don't know what he wants me to do with it. So I'm like, okay, so basically that meant to me is you say I need to go back to my doctor. So that's what I did. And it was the holidays, so I didn't get those results back till a little bit before Christmas. And then Christmas came, and I remember clear as day, it was a holiday. In fact, because the kids were out of school. I think it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And that was the day that I had my appointment set up. I go in, and I tell him what the physical therapist told me. And he's like, well, I don't know what you want me to do. And I'm like, well, I still can't lift my leg. I can't move it. I'm still in pain. And he's like, well, the MRI says something totally different. And he's like, just go to physical therapy, give it another try. And I'm like, but I'm still in pain. I can barely walk. And he's like, you can walk. I mean, it's showing nothing's wrong with your leg. And, in between, after he gave me those results from the MRI, I went to another doctor for a second opinion before I made that appointment back with him to tell him what the physical therapist told me. And the other doctor, he looked at my imaging, and he was like, well, yeah, I don't see anything. And he's like, well, this doctor has more experience than me, so I trust what, he says to do. So when I went to the appointment, I let my doctor know what the other doctor said. And boy, his chest puffed out like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. I've been a physician all these years. And I'm like, but something is wrong. I still can't walk. I'm in pain. Something is wrong. Something is not adding up. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do about it? Might I add you, he has his medical students in the room too. What do you want me to do about it? I can't help you at this point. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't help me? I'm telling you, like, something's wrong. Something more needs to be done because something's not adding up. I still can't walk, still can't lift my leg, can't move anything in physical therapy. He's like, get off the crutches and go back to physical therapy. And I'm like, I'm puzzled because I can't believe what I'm hearing. And I was like, okay, I need a copy of all my medical records. And I left this practice that day. I went down the street to where I know another orthopedic who I've done surgery with down in the main OR. And some of my coworkers, he did their meniscus tear. So I went to him and he took me same day. I was so grateful. He couldn't believe that this doctor would not take me out of work. I actually even showed up to work with my crutches because that's how much I couldn't walk. I couldn't perform my duties. But what am I supposed to do when I used all my PTO time to take off because you put me out of work pending results of the MRI? All right, MRI showed nothing. Okay, you took me off of, you put me back to work, but then I still can't walk. I still can't perform my duties, so I had to call out. And then when I couldn't call out no more in fear of losing my job, I just showed up with my crutches. And they had every right to send me home because I knew I wasn't supposed to be there with my crutches, but I wasn't there about to call out again. And I felt like my arms was like really tied behind my back, like I had no choice. Plus I needed the money. So thank God that a secretary had called out that night and they needed somebody to do the desk, and I was like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. And my manager came around, talked to me, and she was like, I really should have sent you home because, it's a liability to have you here with these crutches on the floor. And I'm like, I know. She was like, stay at this desk and don't you go nowhere else. And I'm like, okay. But for some reason, we were slow. And I'm like,